Hey everyone, Marathon Hurley here, back with some more Final Fantasy. Last time we began the post-game by exploring the Earthgift Shrine, and today I'm going to begin exploring the Hellfire Chasm. This dungeon is a little bit longer than the Earthgift Shrine. It's 10 floors, so I'm not going to show off the whole thing today. Instead, I'm going to show off the first 5 floors, and then I'm going to show off all of the boss battles on the 5th floor. And then from there, we will move on. So, let's see here now. I gotta pull up my map here real quick. Let me go to the menu here. I have to pull up the correct map here because I've only gone through these dungeons once, so I can't say that I've actually I know all these maps by memory. Now this is called the scalding floor, the scalding something floor, and basically what happens on this floor is that, as you can see here, whenever you stand still, you're always losing health, so that's something you got to be careful of. So there's kind of a premium put on getting through this floor pretty quickly here. But yeah, I'm going to be showing off the first 5 floors today, and there are 2 bosses at the end of that I'll be showing off, and that's really all there's going to be today. And then the next episode, I'll show off the second half, obviously. Now it seems like these little panels here, these little gray panels here, are actually safe, so you can stand there, but obviously you have to move from there. Now what they can do, if you're like me and you have a map up, they can help you figure out, okay, where do I want to go next? So the next place I want to visit is to the west there. And so I don't know if that was intentional to help you kind of plan out what you want to do, but I have to imagine that it was at least somewhat intentional. So yeah. Now the one downside to this area is that, unlike a lot of other places, you can't actually, you do run into encounters even though you're losing health, so it's not like other damage floors. Now in this room there could be up to 2 treasures, so we only got 1, so that does put a limit on what we're going to be able to get off of this floor. Again, I will post a link in the video description which tells you what treasures you can get on each floor. I need to actually do that for my first video. I don't think I've actually updated that video yet, but hopefully by the end of today I'll have, because this video is going to go up the same day it was recorded, hopefully by the end of today I'll have both videos updated with annotation links and the whole 9 yards. So that's the plan, but we'll see how that kind of works out. Now, let's see, because I went the wrong way there. I want to make sure that I don't do that again. So I think I need to go around the long way here. So we'll just stand here for a second, but I think from here I can actually go west and then head north to get the next couple of treasures. As with my last episode, I'm probably not going to edit out most of the random battles because, as you can see, they can be taken out in like 10 seconds. At some point I will be editing out random battles again, but for now I'm not sure if I see there's not great value in that. It's just going to take much longer for me to get the videos up. Now this room also has 2 treasures that you could possibly get. As you can see, we only got 1, and if I'm correct, those are the only 4 treasures you can actually get on this map, I want to say. I don't see any others that you can pick up, so I think there were only 4 on this floor. I should have my list up of how many treasures you can get on each floor, so I can confirm that. But maybe I'll pull that up here in a second. But I think that's all the treasures that you can get, and in that case, there's no point in hanging around, and we might as well just head straight to the exit. So one thing that I should mention. I don't know if anyone's actually watching my videos the day they come out, but I probably won't be able to upload that many videos for the next week or so. I'm actually going to be going out of town for a little bit, so I know I haven't been super consistent with my uploading recently. I've been traveling a bit, and I had hoped to get some recording done while I was out of town, but you know, I probably should have been smarter and just realized that that wasn't a realistic goal for myself. But yeah, I might not be able to record as much as I would like over the next week, so there may, depending on what I can get done today, I'm going to try to record some videos today, but depending on what I can get done today, I might not be able to upload much over the next week. But I assure you that this bout of inconsistency won't last forever. It's just that this next month or so is going to be a little bit busier than I initially anticipated. But after that, so like once we are out of August and head into September, my schedule should be such that I can actually get to my original plan, which was uploading every weekday. So there's a little bit of a delay there. Alright, come on, Bat. You gotta get out of my way here. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Really? Jeez. That wasn't annoying. Really? Come on, guys. You can move now. Thank you. Nope. Come on. Come on. There we go. I don't understand why those bats they just can't move. I mean, I know that's there just to be annoying, but still, I got caught by it. It annoyed me. Anyway, let's see. The exit should be a little bit more to the north here. Come on, bats. Okay, I felt like that bat just slowed down as soon as I hit it. Maybe it's just me, but it seemed like that bat just slowed down as soon as I hit it. And as always, ignore the random noises outside of my my window there. Of course, as soon as I start recording, that's when all the dump trucks decide they need to come by my apartment, but that's alright. Now, at some point, I might need to heal, because I did take a bit of damage on this level, but maybe I'll wait till I get to the boss floor. I can probably take quite a bit more damage before we are in trouble there. So, now that we are here, let's pull up my next map. I think this is a pretty straightforward floor, but you know, again, you don't want to. I don't want to screw with that too much. So actually, you know what? I'm just gonna take a quick pause break, and I'm gonna get my map up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now that I have my map up, we can go ahead and move on here. Now, this floor is actually pretty straightforward. The one trick to this floor is that in order to get the treasures here, they're kind of out of the way, so you're going to have to do a fair bit of walking to be able to get those if you want. But of course, that's the whole reason that we're here, is to get those treasures. So I'll be looking for those. Now, from here, I want to keep going south, and then I think we're on the right spot here. Now, yep, I think we're good, because the treasure we want is going to be pretty far to the north. We've already passed the path where the exit's going to be. The exit was going to be a little bit to the west of where we were walking down there. You couldn't see it, but I'll show you when we head back. So yeah, the treasures that we're going to want are at the very top of this screen. So we're going to be walking for a little bit. And honestly, I should just use some kind of spell to make sure this doesn't end up going more than one turn. But yeah, I think that's about it with this floor. So we only have about 3 more floors to explore. So far, this has been pretty smooth. I still think I'm going to limit it to just showing off the 5 floors, because there are a couple of floors here that are pretty long and can be a little bit tedious. So, I mean, as opposed to the rest of the floors, which are not tedious, of course. But yeah, there are a couple of floors that are a little bit tedious, so I want to protect myself against that, because I don't want this episode becoming like 2 hours long. So yeah, we'll go from there. And some people are finally starting to gain a level. That's nice, because we're going to need to be doing a fair bit of grinding off screen, and I don't think this is going to be, either of these dungeons are going to be the place for that. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the last of these dungeons, the Whisperwind Cove, is a pretty good spot for grinding. I think the enemies are actually fairly difficult. I don't know if they're quite on the same level as the final dungeon, or even the Flying Fortress, but I think they're pretty experienced there, so that'll be good. Now, how many treasures can you get here? There are 3 treasures that you could possibly get here. I don't know what that is going to be then. There must be like a potion maybe. So let's just use a high potion. Or why not? Use it on Sedan. And then we'll use it either on Palom. Okay, it was a high potion. And then our second treasure, a blue fang. So, nothing too great. But now we just gotta head out of here. But yeah, I think the Whisperwind Cove is likely where I'll be doing a lot of grinding. mostly because I'm going to need to run through that dungeon a bunch in order to get all the good stuff that I want anyway. Now the one problem is I won't be able, I think some of the items that I want, you can only get them in the Lifespring Grotto, but I can't really run through that dungeon because you can't exit once you go in. And so, yeah, you'd have to basically be strong enough to take on the bosses there, because you can only do, obviously, one run at a time. You can only get so many treasures at a time. So, yeah, that wouldn't be very good for me. Alright, so another pause break. Gotta pull up my map. Alright, so I believe, if I have the right floor here, there are only 2 treasures that you can get on this map, which is kind of unfortunate, but let's see here. The first one is going to be pretty far to the east. If I can actually do this right here. Alright, now I know where I am. Good. So then I want to head a little bit further south. Then... oh wait, am I doing this right? No, no, no. Actually, I don't want to go south. I want to go north from here and then go around like this. Yeah, because for a second there I was looking at this and I was thinking, I don't want to have to go this super long way to get this stuff, but alright. Alright, so the first treasure was there, and it is a red fang. Nothing too fancy, but whatever. You do what you can with what you got. So let's see now. Don't get lost again. That's the first goal. Alright, now I think I know where we're going from here. So most of these floors, I have to double check. I think I'm showing off all the treasure locations. It's hard because, again, I've only gone through most of these dungeons once, and I really only did it to get through it and to find the final boss. I didn't do multiple runs, so, you know, you go through this, and unless you've done this enough times to where you know where all the treasures are going to be, it's easy to miss some stuff. But I think I've been showing off all the locations accurately to this point. Alright, so let's run west here. So we got this little 3 stone. Then the second treasure location is right there. Alright. Wait, why can't I hold any more? It must be another high potion. So let's just use one real quick. We'll use it on Pinello. Oh, maybe it's a Phoenix down or a tent? Yeah, it must be a Phoenix down or a tent. Or no, it must be a Phoenix down because I only have 10 tents. Alright, that's fine though, because we can't... there's no more treasures for us here anyway. And even if there were, not getting that Phoenix down wouldn't really prevent us from getting any other treasures. Now, yeah, I'm going to have to walk the long way here. There's no quick way back, so... alright, that's fine. So then, now I think you can actually be... this is a spot right here where you can be dropped off as well. So a lot of these floors actually have multiple spots where you can start from. So, like, in the case I started from the far... I guess that far west point, but you can be dropped off in I think like 3 different spots here. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, especially if you're looking at a map. Your experience may not be exactly the same as what I have here. So new floor, gotta pull up the map. Quick pause break, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So now I know where we are, or at least I think I do. Yeah, so this actually closely resembles the fire cavern floor that we saw, or the actual fire cavern that we, or Mount Gullag that we entered earlier in the game, but a little more straightforward, or not more straightforward, but only one floor of it. So now, as you can see, obviously most of the theme, or the theme of most of these floors has been lava. Now, not because of the floors that we've run into so far, but this is our 3rd or 4th floor, I think. Is this our 4th floor already? It might be our 4th floor already. Well, anyway, as you can kind of tell based on like the, you would think that most of these floors are all lava, and to be fair, most of them are, but there are several floors that aren't lava based, so I think those are all going to be floors that we're going to have to run into on the second half, because I think at most we maybe have one more floor before we hit the boss floor, and yeah, if that. So, well, anyway. So, let's see. I want to make sure I do this right. I think it's the lower path I want to take first, because the higher path will eventually lead to the exit, but we want to pick up, see if there's any treasures that we can pick up first. So, Let's see. Now you can see there's one below us. We won't be able to reach that one right now. We're going to have to swing back around and pick that one up. But if we keep following this path, there is one treasure that we should be able to get, assuming that it's there. So we're going to have to figure that one out, but let's see what happens. Alright, so there's only, there's, could be up to, I'm running past right now, but as you can see, there's only one. Alright, so we get 700 gil from this one. Let's see now what we're going to get here. There's one more, there's two more treasures actually that we could possibly pick up. Alright, so we get a Giant's Tonic, which I think permanently increases your attack, maybe. That's another thing I haven't really jumped into, all the stat increasing items. But let's see here. So I want to keep going south. And then when there's a branch, I want to head west instead of south. And then south from here. And if I did that right, the treasure should have been there. But there are no treasures, as you can see. So those are the last two treasures you could have gotten on this floor. There could be two there. And so now all that's left for us to do is to, well, leave this floor and head to the next one. So we want to head south here and then kind of follow this winding path right beside where those treasures could have been, but obviously we're not. So I might go through this dungeon again at some point. Like I said, with the Earthgift Shrine, it's not a top priority right now because I think there are other places that have better stuff. Although there is some useful equipment here that I want to get. And what I'll probably do is when I'm done with the next dungeon, I'll probably put in that description like all the equipment that I want to get, because, you know, right now there's just a lot of stuff and it's kind of, I don't know, it's not super important that you like get all the items right now if you don't, unless you really want to. Alright, so I'm actually going to save my game here, because again, there are multiple bosses that I can fight here and I want to make sure I show off both. So let me make sure I do this correctly here. So I think there's one to the north, maybe? Yeah, so there's one to the north, and I think there's one either further to the north or to the south. So let's take this guy on first. Well, that's a fancy how do you do. Yeah, so this is the first boss then. As you can see, it's Leone, so yeah. So I think the next boss might be further north of here, but we'll check that out in a second. But for right now, we have to do with Leone, and of course, I was stupid and didn't actually heal myself before the battle. So let's just go ahead and do that now, because I don't want to fool around with that. And as with our last, just like the last dungeon we were in, we get a remixed version of the Final Fantasy IV boss theme, which I like. It's of all the remixes, it's not my favorite. I mean, as you can imagine, there are 4 dungeons. We're going to be fighting bosses from Final Fantasy V and 6 as well. But if I had to rank them, I'd probably say the bosses from Final Fantasy V have my favorite remix, and then Final Fantasy IV is probably third after Final Fantasy 3. So it's 5, 3, 4, and then 6 is probably my least favorite of the remix boss themes, not the actual game itself. If we were talking about the game itself, then it's actually almost exactly reverse of that. So it's probably, well, no, not reverse of that, because I actually like 5 quite a bit. Anyway, now I'm just rambling. So this guy isn't very tough, or at least his first form isn't very tough. Spoiler alert: there are 2 forms, as anyone who has played Final Fantasy IV would probably knows. The first form of this guy is not very difficult, although his thunder magic is actually hitting me pretty hard there. But he's not going to be too tough, but then he's going to come back and we're going to have to deal with him after that. So let's see if we can finish him off pretty quickly here. Yeah, so he went down pretty easy without too much of a fight. And yeah, you would think that this is over, but it most clearly is not going to be over. Yep. Yeah. Now, unlike the Final Fantasy game, or unlike the boss fight in Final Fantasy IV, he does not preemptively strike you. So, again, for those of you who have played Final Fantasy IV, you know that once you defeat him, he actually sneaks up behind you, and then your parties are in the reverse rows, so then you have to switch rows and then turn around and all that stuff. Now, obviously, you couldn't do some of that in this game because they don't have rows, but I'm surprised they didn't at least have him preemptively strike you in the spirit of his boss fight originally. But, whatever. That's just, I don't know, details, I suppose. Oh, that was a good time to cast Proterra up. Now, let's see. I want to have you use the giant gloves on yourself. So as you can see, the boss strategy hasn't really changed here that much, and by hasn't changed that much, I mean has not changed at all. He's not that tough. I think we're definitely overpowered for these bosses as well, and I think maybe only the Final Fantasy VI bosses will really be on even footing with us. The Final Fantasy V bosses are a different story altogether, because obviously a couple of them will be not that hard, but as I mentioned, 2 of them will be insanely difficult, so yeah, whatever. Alright, now that hurt pretty badly, so let's go ahead and heal up and get continue to boost our attack there. We might not need it though, because he's probably, yeah, he's dead. So all that consternation was for nothing because, well, he was pretty easy to kill. So having dealt with that, we get a lunar curtain, and we could leave, or we could not leave, but we could head to the second half of the dungeon if we wanted to. But I don't want to, so I'm going to reset the game, and then we'll take on the second boss that we can fight here. Okay, I'm back. Now I think where I want to head from here is here, but let me just double check that. I mean, there is a path to the south here, so no reason not to check to be sure. And, well, what do you know? It was actually to the south. Alright, well, let's heal up real quick. I don't want to go into this battle not healed like I did the last one. Alright, wait, hold on a second. I used the wrong spot. I meant to use Heliga. No big deal, though. We can just heal up very quickly here. Sorry to make you watch all this on screen. Alright, now. Oh, that's not creepy at all. And this should be, if I'm... It's not going to be Barbara... Yeah, it should be Cognazo, so... I couldn't remember what the order was there. My Final Fantasy IV trivia failed me there for a second. Anyway, let's go ahead and get Proterra up. And then... Well, you guys know the routine by now. It's all pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot of variety here, which is somewhat unfortunate, but... that's... I mean, let's be honest. This is not a post-game that's designed to really add a whole lot to the game, right? It's just kind of there to make this version seem worthwhile, so that's okay. Although I have to say, recording this video, or recording these videos, it's, you know, it's one thing when you're playing it on your own, but then when you're trying to actually record, it's, I don't know, it makes you realize that there isn't a whole lot going on with this, wait, what did he do in his last turn? I didn't even pay attention. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Alright, let's just attack him. Yeah, whatever. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, you realize there isn't a whole lot going on, and it's kind of hard to come up with good commentary for it, which is fine, I guess. Just something that I really hadn't noticed until I just hadn't really noticed that until I started playing it this time. And so, I mean, the good news is most of the other games that I'll be playing, I mean, once I finally get back to Crimson Gem Saga and Arc the Lad, which have kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit here, and future games I think have more interesting side content, so that won't really be an issue. But yeah, there's not a whole lot going on here except walk through this dungeon, fight some random encounters, and then fight some super bosses. And these guys have almost 0 defense, so we're putting up pretty insane damage numbers on them. But, alright, so we've defeated both the bosses on this floor. Again, remember, you can only fight one at a time, so if you want to beat both, you have to come through and do that again. Although the items that they're giving you, they're both just giving you curtain items, so you're not really losing anything by... Yeah, you're not really losing anything by just fighting one there. So there's no great incentive to fight both, except for completion's sake. And I'm not sure if they show up in the bestiary. Maybe they do, but I don't really pay attention to the bestiary, so there's that. But anyway, I'm going to end this episode here. Next time we will explore the second half of the Hellfire Chasm and take on the final 2 optional bosses that we can find here. Until then, this has been Marathon Hurdler. I want to thank you as always. Hopefully I will see you next time.